Hello, this is the Liberty Sphere Report. I'm Anthony G. Martin. I'd like to recommend a book to you today that if you haven't read it, you need to rush out to the bookstore immediately and purchase a copy. It's called A Patriot's History of the United States, From Columbus's Great Discovery to the War on Terror. The authors are Larry Schweikert and Michael Allen, and it is published by Sentinel Press. You'll find information in this book that is not being taught in the nation's public school systems today, nor in the classrooms of higher education and academia. And the reason is very clear. Academia has been infiltrated by leftists, and the authors of this book, who themselves are U.S. historians, clearly are aware of that fact and state very forthrightly in the book that this is one of the reasons that America is suffering from a great falling away from our founding principles as found in the U.S. Constitution. The school kids are simply not being taught the truth anymore. And our university students, quite frankly, are being brainwashed by left-wing professors. Schweikert, in particular, says this: the academy always has been slightly left-leaning, but the real shift began at the end of the McCarthy era, when leftist professors were driven out, lost their jobs. At the end of that period, say the late 1950s, a lot of colleges went the other direction. To kind of make up for what they had done, they went so far in the other direction that they started to welcome leftists, especially in the social sciences, the arts, and U.S. history. If you look at the 1960s, you could have predicted those student riots just by noticing the three streams converging together at the same time. The first stream was the baby boomers. You had a bunch of kids coming of age around 1962, 63, 64 or so, and they were coming into college at about that time. The second stream was the money that came in as a result of Sputnik. The federal government dumped millions and millions of dollars into the university system, supposedly to go into engineering and math. But if you know anything about the way money works in a university, it doesn't stay where it's supposed to. You know this from the athletic department. They bring in the money, and then the money goes everywhere throughout the campus. So this money ended up in the bigger departments, which were always the arts, the sciences, and the liberal arts departments. The third stream was the radical professors. My best take on that is that when these leftists came in, they were only a part of the department, but the people that they were around were gentlemen and gentlewomen. They didn't believe in fighting, and they didn't see all activities as political. And of course, Marxists, on the other hand, see everything as political. I knew a lot of these people, Schweikert says. They just didn't want to fight these battles when these young liberals came in and took over. They took over the search committees. They started hiring more of their own. They started doling out money so that it only rewarded radicals. And by the late 1960s, most of the humanities, political science, sociology departments were dominated by leftists. There were still some conservatives, but they had no power and they had no influence in the academy, and it was only a matter of time before they retired. This book gives you the plain truth. You should buy it, you should read it, and you should force your children and grandchildren to read it. Because they're not going to get this information in the public schools or in the academy, the halls of academia. They're simply not going to be told the real truth about the story of this great nation from the ones who founded it. This book will, and this book will name the names. And it will call attention to the problems that we face as Americans today the enormous fight that we face, the uphill battle in attempting to counterbalance the left-wing revisionism that we find on college campuses and in the public schools today. This has been the Liberty Sphere Report. I'm Anthony G. Martin.